This is a story about schools and their libraries. Ever since the one-room schoolhouse, schools have had libraries. Even if the library was just a shelf with books, it was still a collection of books for the students to use. It was a library. As schools got bigger, so did school libraries. More shelves were added. Special people were hired to manage and circulate all these books. Sometimes these librarians, they called them, were real teachers. But for some reason, many libraries ended up with a librarian that wasn't much fun. Let's look at the typical librarian profile, say, in 1950. You'll notice first that this librarian has horn-rimmed glasses and tightly bunned hair. Librarians always had tightly bunned hair. This librarian is recommending the Webster's Unabridged Dictionary for bedtime reading. She's obviously older than dirt, hence the tightly bunned hair and many wrinkles, has no visible sense of humor, and obviously demands silence from her patrons. Librarians such as these left many scars in their wake. In severe cases, adults have had to invest in years of therapy in order to be able to walk into a library again.
Hi, my name is Matt Lane, and I'm here to share my experience that I had as a small child that scarred me for life, lost all self-confidence. And I'm afraid to go out in public. I had a librarian at school when I was in 7th grade. No, 8th grade. No, 7th. I forget. And every time I'd go in the library, she'd yell at me. I'd try to get a book, and she'd say I couldn't read it. She'd slap my hand. I think she was like 155 years old. I'm not sure how old she was, but she smelled funky. I think she like even like once went out with President Roosevelt or something. She was old and weird. I don't know if she liked kids. She's always yelling at us, and she's always telling us to get out of her face, and if I asked her for a book, she wouldn't even know about books or anything. She'd just tell me not to get my dirty hands on it and stuff. I tried to read, I tried to enjoy reading, but all I could imagine is that smell on every book. It just stunk like crazy from her, like that old person smell. It makes me sad that that was my experience in a school and a library. Now I can only hope that there is somewhere a library that is not like that. That is my dream. That is my goal, is to find a library without the funky old lady smell.
Tragic, isn't it? Alas, the situation was no better in other parts of the world. Listen to Vladimir's story.
In my country, we have no library. We have government office. We have small market, no library. Children ask their parents for library so they can go borrow book. No such thing. They laugh. The old peoples, they've given up long hope of library. They just do not, they cannot go on. My father, he says we should go to America to a good library system, but we cannot get good jobs because we cannot learn because there are no library. I only wish Papa could have seen a good library in his lifetime. Sadly, that would never happen. All he does is watch television now. Library!
How heartbreaking. I wonder if Matt or Vladimir ever read a book again. What a terrible dilemma existed. Children had to read. Their teachers made them. But walking into a library was like taking one's life into their own hands. One false step meant the scowl or a boxing of the ears. Worst of all, one might be made to serve a knitting detention where the offender was forced to knit socks for the elderly librarian's grandbabies. Was there any hope? Or were the world's children forced to be at the mercy of bund-haired biddies whose best friends were card catalogs? Would books be held hostage forever? Wait! Log into that PowerPoint and charge your iPod. It's the 21st century and libraries have changed.
Go back where I was would just be wrong. I'm pressing on, pressing on. All my distress is going, gone. Pressing on, pressing on. And I won't sit back and take this anymore. Cause I'm done with that. I've got one foot out the door. And to go back where I was would just be wrong. I'm pressing on, I think we're going somewhere. We're onto something good here. Out of mind, out of state, trying to keep my head on straight. I think we're going somewhere. We're onto something good here. Adversity, we get around it. Search for joy in you, I found it. Somewhere back there, I left my worries all behind. My problems fell out of the back of my mind. We're going in, I'm never knowing where we're going.
And the very best reason to come to the library is because we're fun! We are not your grandma's library.
We're fun because we're not your grandma's library. We're young and vivacious. We have games, we have chess, we have puzzles, we have the internet, we have books. Imagine that. We have the comfy chairs on the window to watch the weather and all the deer pass by.
And when it snows.
And when it snows, it's the most beautiful time of the year to see the snow falling.
The lining of your stomach.
You can read the sports page on the newspaper.
You can read a magazine. Mythbusters Secret. Work a jigsaw puzzle. How about a game of Othello?
Another reason you should come to the Media Center is because we can help you find a book you might like to read. I love this series. You've probably all seen a James Bond movie. If James Bond were 14, what would he have been like? I can just imagine. Intrigue. They're really, really fun. If you're a Meg Cabot fan, Forever Princess, I think this is going to be the final installment in the Princess Diaries series, which has, about 10 books now. Another reason to come to the library is because this is the only place you can look at reference books. Reference books are those labeled with the REF that you can't check out, but look what we've got. Icons of Rock, The World of the Polar Bear. Ready? The DC Comics Encyclopedia and the Encyclopedia of Animated Cartoons.
I read because one life isn't enough, and in the pages of a book you can be anybody. I read because the words that build the story become mine to build my life. I read not for happy endings, but for new beginnings. I'm just beginning myself, and I wouldn't mind a map. I read because I have friends who don't, and young though they are, they're beginning to run out of materials. I read because every journey begins at the library, and it's time for me to start packing. I read because one of these days I'm going to get out of this town and go everywhere and meet everybody, and I want to be ready.